So you boys are from Arkansas, huh?
Green Acres, we are there.
Well, they started this decade with the bang, but 2012, 2013, they hit what you would call slop, okay? 2010, 2011, Arkansas Razorbacks went to a couple of big-time bowl games. In fact, in 2011, they won the Cotton Bowl over Kansas State. And then we know about the back-to-back losing seasons, problems on and off the field. And in 2014, it didn't look like Arkansas was going to get to a bowl game. At one point, they were 4-5, needing at least 2 wins out of their final 3 games against pretty tough competition. But that's when head coach Bret Bielema and his Razorback squad seemed to play their best ball. In fact, they were spectacular, beating both LSU and Ole Miss when both were nationally ranked and beating them by a combined count of 51-0. That got them to the necessary 6 wins, and Arkansas took well advantage by winning easily over the Texas Longhorns in the Texas Bowl. Entering this season, 2015, Bret's squad returns 9 players on the offensive side from an offense that had well over 200 yards rushing per game. And it helps when you have both of your big threats in the backfield returning. Jonathan Williams and Alex Collins, capable of taking any pitch or handoff for a touchdown. Last season, stats don't lie. Well over 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns for both players. And again, they're back. Offensive line, it's going to be one of the best in college football. All but one of their linemen return. Hunter Henry at tight end, he's back at 6'4", 250. NFL scouts love him mostly, though, because of the fact that he can run routes really, really good. So expect Brandon Allen, who I'll talk about in a second, to be throwing it to him more frequently. Back to the offensive line, though. First-year offensive coordinator Dan Enos will be making some changes. Probably the best all-around lineman, if you don't count Henry, is Denver Kirkland, who'll move from guard to left tackle. The other tackle, Mr. Skipper, talking about Dan Skipper, not to be confused with Alan Hale Jr., the skipper from Gilligan's Island, will move from left tackle to right. So there you have it. Now, Brandon Allen, quarterback, threw for a little over 2,000 yards last year. His completion percentage has to get better. He completed just a little over 50% of his passes, about 56%. But at least he didn't throw very many picks, just 5 interceptions, and he did throw for 20 TDs. Arkansas's offense will really be difficult to stop if they can present more of that passing attack. Keon Hatcher returns at wideout, but probably need another terrific wideout to complement him and truly make Arkansas a 2-dimensional offense. Defensively, last season, the Razorbacks were pretty good. As a matter of fact, the last 6 games of the 2014 season, they were great, only giving up 10 points per game over the last 6 and 19 points per game for the entire season. Second-year defensive coordinator Rob Smith knows that this year's team will have a difficult time matching what last year's team did. That's because they have several pieces to replace on that front 7. Alan Turner, Martrell Spade, Darius Filan, all gone. Biggest loss, in my opinion, though, was Trey Flowers, who was picked, I think, mid-round, 4th round in the NFL draft. And he was amazing rushing the quarterback as well as stopping the run. They're going to miss Flowers. But moving to the present now, that defensive line will have 2 players back, Tywan Johnson at tackle, and the guy who I think is going to be expected to be the leader up front is defensive end JaMychal Winston. Linebacker, my biggest concern, because you only have 1 full-time guy back, and that is Brooks Ellis. But he did have 72 tackles a year ago. Bit of a position change for him. He'll move from middle to weak side linebacker. Secondary doesn't look near as concerning because both corners are back. Both good ones, DJ Dean, as well as Jared Collins. Strong safety, played a little bit last year. Rohan Gaines had a 100-yard interception return for a touchdown against Ole Miss in 2014. He's back, but he has to clean his act up off the field. Last year, because of team violations, he did not play in the Texas Bowl. Special teams, if I thought I had a concern with Arkansas as far as linebacker, it pales in comparison to place kicking. You could probably say it was a major factor in several losses last season. A&M, as well as Mississippi State, missed makeable kicks in that game, and against Alabama had an extra point blocked in a 1-point loss. So, yeah, you got to be able to win the close ones, and the special teams last year, as far as place kicking, did not help in that regard. Looking at the schedule for the Razorbacks, I think the beginning of it is very doable. First 3 games, I think, are against UTEP, Toledo, who's pretty good out of the MAC, but Arkansas should be able to handle them as Toledo has to come to Arkansas. And then you're looking at Texas Tech. Arkansas destroyed them last year in Lubbock. The return game is in Fayetteville this year. I expect Arkansas to go 3-0. But the next 4 games, who knows how they're going to wind up for the Hogs. All these games are going to be much tougher and all in conference play. The first 3 are away from Fayetteville. Texas A&M, that game in Arlington. Last year, the Aggies beat them in overtime. And then the two after that, true road games at Tennessee, who returns nearly everybody. And, of course, Alabama, we know how good they are. But both games away from Arkansas. A bye week, and then you get Auburn, who will be pretty darn good at home. So you go 5 straight weeks, 35 calendar days without a home game. That'll be rough. And I'll explain a little more why in a little bit. And then in November, playing at LSU and playing at Ole Miss. Of course, those teams want revenge after what Arkansas did to them a year ago. But you try to get revenge your last 2 games as Mississippi State and Missouri, who have to come to Fayetteville this time, both beat Arkansas by a mere touchdown apiece last season. I think Arkansas will be a better team. They return a lot of players, and I do think Bret Bielema has something going really terrific in Fayetteville. Biggest problems I have, though, they play in the SEC West where, everybody's good. Of course, last year, all 7 teams got to bowl games a year ago. 3 of them got to big-time bowl games, and Alabama, of course, got to the college football playoff. So Arkansas knows that SEC play doesn't get any tougher than that. Razorbacks have got to find ways to win the close games. They haven't won a conference road game in 3 years, haven't won a conference game that's been decided by 7 points or less in 4 years, and that includes 4 games last year, all 7 points or less in conference play that they lost. A&M, Mississippi State, Missouri, and the 1-point loss to Bama. So they got to be able to win on the road in conference play, and they got to be able to win in the fourth quarter, and they haven't been doing that. And red zone scoring, you could probably look as another big indicator too, besides bad place kicking. Red zone scoring, only 64% of the time did they get touchdowns when driving inside the opponent's 20, and 22% of the time when they got inside the opponent's 20, they didn't score anything at all. And again, I'm not trying to take shots at Arkansas because I think they have a good team, but until you can, be more opportunistic inside an opponent's 20, and until you can get the place kicking fixed, it's hard for anybody outside of the Razorback states to pick Arkansas to do better than a 7-5 record and 3-5 in SEC play. But that's what I'm going to go with for Arkansas, finishing in a tie for 5th. They got to improve again as far as place kicking, red zone, and as far as taking care of the ball. They're pretty good in that area. +7 last year in turnover margin. They can build upon that. And I think as long as Coach Bielema can continue to get those linemen, and also the ground game continues to be solid, look for Arkansas to improve more and more. But this year, I just see a slight improvement record-wise. That's my look at Arkansas. Catch you next time.
I'm looking out for you, and everything's gonna be alright.